Oh man, look at these beauties. Hey guys, Josh with Carl's Mower and Saw, and today we're going to take a quick peek, a quick overview of the Ariens snow throwers, really what to do and what you need to know on how to operate these. We're going to focus today on the wheeled models and the carbureted models. So the carbureted wheeled models, not the EFI units and not the tracked units. So we're going to be looking at the Deluxe Platinum SHO 30. We've got the Deluxe SHO 28 right here, and then the Deluxe 20, oh, I don't have the Deluxe 24 is behind me. But really what we're going to be looking at today is going to be relevant to all of these. And so whatever Ariens snow thrower you have, if you purchased it in the last few years, this will be useful information. I will start by saying we live on the West Coast, a fairly moderate or temperate climate where we're not getting a ton of snow. We're getting more and more, and we're seeing that happen, and we're selling some snow throwers, but let me tell you, there's people around the country who sell way more than me, so I'm sure there's more expertise out there. But hopefully this stuff I give you today will be useful to you as you delve into using your Ariens snow thrower. Especially I find this would be useful that you bought one last year and you used it for about an hour and it has sat for a year. So this is just going to be a quick review. We get calls all the time. How do I start my snow thrower? How do I do this? Or how do I do that? Or what do I need to do? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to quick grab the camera. We're going to do a little bit of a walk around and we'll talk about some specific things and go from there. So join me on a walk as we come up to this Ariens 30-inch snow thrower. So we're going to start right here on the front. Just since we're here, we'll talk about the starting in a minute, but there's a couple key things on this front end that we want to pay attention to. This is not necessarily maintenance long-term. This is really what I need to know short-term on how to operate. So let's say you're out running your snow thrower and all of a sudden the sucker is really not moving snow the way you would want it to, or it's pulling to one side, or it's laboring on one side. It's kind of weird, but that happens. You could hit a block of ice or a chunk of ice that the snowplow left behind, and that block or chunk of ice is going to come in here through the auger part of it, and if it jams between the housing right here and this piece, we're going to end up shearing a shear bolt right here. See that little guy right there? There's one on either side. That is an intentional shear point. It's a weak point, and it is designed to protect the gear case. So I'll show you a shear bolt here in just a minute, a little closer up. But so if you're ever using it and it doesn't operate properly, it's just not feeling right, that would be a thing to check. And the way to check it, what I would usually do is shut the machine off and come up to the front and take your hand and shake it, move it. Does it free spin? If it's sheared off, I've actually seen it where half this bolt is still in here, or it looks like half the bolt is in, but it's not actually in place. So something to point out while we're here. So we got a couple grease zerks. That should happen probably on an annual maintenance point of view, but just be aware of that. Next thing I want to talk about is the skid shoes on the side. And I'm going to grab a skid shoe. Okay, this is a skid shoe. This piece right here is dragging on the ground as you're running your snow thrower. So asphalt or concrete, gravel, dirt, this thing is running along the ground. And it's designed to do a couple things. One is to protect the housing itself, because obviously friction and abrasion is going to wear these out, okay? The other purpose of the skid shoe is it's an adjustable skid shoe that'll change how far your scraper bar, that's that piece right there, is from the ground. So we really, on a lot of applications, don't want that actually touching the ground. We want it slightly above the ground. If you're on a gravel situation, you actually want to raise that up even higher yet. If you look at this guy here, I can stick my hand all the way under. So I'm going to leave, say, 3/4 of an inch to an inch of snow, but I'm not going to be flinging rocks. If I have rough pavement, asphalt being a little higher, if I've got perfectly smooth cement, I might be able to go, or concrete, I might be able to go a little tighter to the ground. But over time, this skid shoe is going to wear, and if you don't keep up on it and replace these, you'll start digging into your housing, you'll wear out your scraper bar more. So pay attention to that. If you'll notice, looking at this, it's actually reversible. So when one side wears out, you can flip it over and wear the other side out. And you change these or adjust these right here. 9/16 nuts come loose, and you can slide it up and down. Or if you're looking to change it, actually flip it over, you have to take the nuts all the way off and do that flip. Okay, so we've talked about the shear bins, the shear bolts, and the adjustable skid plates. Now, a little secret here, and you've probably seen it. Why do I have pieces of hardware on my snow thrower sitting up top? These are extra shear bolts. So just really close by, they're always there. They send 2 of them with the machines. It's going to take a 1/2 inch wrench, 2 of them, or a wrench in a socket to change these. And you'll notice, see that little groove cut in there? That is the weak spot. That is the spot that allows it to shear to protect the gear case. Now let's come around and look at kind of the top end controls a minute. So we're going to take a peek at these top end controls, and hopefully we can see everything here. So this is my left hand handle grip. That one is for the drive, and that is for the wheels, to make the wheels go forward and backwards. This control right here is for rotating the chute. So I pull back and it, whoop, and you'll see that chute is rotating. Okay, so what direction do I want to throw the snow? This model in particular has hand warmers, so I can turn the hand warmers on and off. This lever right here changes the chute deflection. So I can push it all the way up and it's going to shoot the snow really close, boom. Or if I open that up, it is going to chuck this snow like 50 feet. Man, it'll get a hold of it and throw it. And the next lever over is my speed control. So I have 1st through 6th, and then I actually have 2 reverse speeds. I would say operation normally in what I've experienced is kind of in the 2 to 3. Maybe if you've got light snow, you can go a little faster. And then if we come over to this right hand, this is called the auger drive. So I hold this down and it engages the auger, or actually starts the snow throwing. Now, one quick thing I want to look at. So this is a Platinum series, and you're going to have this quick change on the chute. If I come over to a Deluxe series, I'm actually doing the chute change by, sorry about that squeak, I need to take care of that, but I turn it by hand. Works totally fine, but the Platinum is just a little easier. Okay, I want to show you something, and we'll get into starting it here in just a minute. But when we look on my left hand is once I engage the drive right here, I can take my right hand, engage the auger. That takes my right hand, it clicks it down. See that? The auger is engaged. It keeps my right hand free, so I'm able to change the deflection, to change my rotation. Really makes operating this thing easy with a one-handed setup that allows me to really run the controls of the cockpit. Okay. Now let's talk about starting this machine. And this is where you got a lot of stuff going on here that can sometimes be confusing. So right here on the back, I have a key switch. This is really just an on and off. So you see it as a key, but it could honestly be just a flip switch. So I'm going to turn this key on. I'm going to make sure the fuel is turned on. So I'm going to rotate the up, that's fuel off. I'm going to rotate it to the right or down. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the starting. I'm going to prime this thing 3 times max. Okay, there's my primer. We're going to prime it 3 times max. 1, 2, 3. That's pushing fuel up to the carburetor. And we're going to come up to the choke throttle mechanism. And there's kind of 2 levers in one part here. The top black is actually our choke run switch. And then the bottom gray is our throttle control. So you'll see here I've got the turtle, the tortoise, and the hare. So I want to put it on choke. I want to give it some throttle. And now it's time to start it. Now I don't have fuel in this machine yet, so I'm not going to start it. But there's 2 ways to start this machine. Let's get that down a little bit lower. One is the old-fashioned, grab the handle, pull the rope, and go. Now, if things are right, ideally, it's going to start on the 1st or 2nd pull. And then as soon as it starts, I'm going to come over to this choke, and I'm going to turn the choke off. I may not be able to go to full run right away, but I'm going to slowly take this back to run and let it warm up a minute. Okay, got it? Now there's one other way to start it, and that is with a cord. What? Cord? See, here's my extension cord. This is an electric start. Most snow throwers are. And most snow throwers, the electric start is not a battery on board because those batteries tend to go dead. Batteries don't like freezing cold weather, and batteries like to be used. And oftentimes a snow thrower battery is going to sit not doing anything for like 9 months, right? So those batteries are going to go dead. So let's take this cord, let's plug it in here, and now watch when I press this red button. Boom, easy. So as long as you have power in your shop or in your garage, the best way to start these things when they're cold is to open the door, get this outside where it's ventilated, right? You don't want to run it inside, obviously. Run that extension cord, plug it in, go through the starting routine, right? 3 pumps on the primer, turn the choke on, give it a little bit of throttle, and push the button. It goes, unplug it, and we're ready to go from there. So there is a brief overview on what we need to know on how to start it and how to operate it, as well as some key things on the front end, right? With our skid shoes and our shear bolts. There's a couple other things I want to talk about real quick. As I said, I'm not a snow thrower expert, but I will tell you the biggest challenge that people are going to face with the snow thrower is fuel related problems, okay? Especially where we live in the Pacific Northwest, where we don't get snow all the time, or nobody gets snow all the time, but every year even. So we could go a year or more in between for the snow. There's products that I like to use in my fuel. Now there's different rules of thumb, there's different thought processes. Some people like to actually drain or run a machine all out of fuel. That is one way of doing it. Me and my experience has shown, I shouldn't say proven, but I have seen that that's not always the best answer, because we never run them completely dry of fuel, and we leave some stuff behind that can still go bad. So I like to run a product like this Aspen fuel here. There's other alternatives. There's Kawasaki makes some fuel. There's True Fuel. Husqvarna makes a fuel. So there's options out there. I think from my experience, this Aspen has proven to be one of the best, the longest life, and improve the running. So here's what I want to do. It's snow season, and I'm going to be using my snow thrower regularly, every month, every couple weeks, to run good ethanol-free fuel. That makes sense. I get it. Fuel's expensive. Run good ethanol-free. When the off season comes, as we get into March, April, depending on where you're at around the country, what the season is, maybe it's May, right? I want you to run that fuel out, and I like to put in Aspen, put in a quart of Aspen, fire this sucker up, and let it run for 5 minutes. Get this fuel into the system. This fuel does not go bad nearly as fast. We're talking like a 3-year shelf life. This is an amazing fuel that will protect your fuel system on your machine. On top of that, one of the best things you can do with the snow thrower is to start it up once in a while. Now I know it's July and it's hot and it's muggy and you're going on vacation, and the last thing you want to think about is a snow thrower, right? Well, maybe you want to think about a snow thrower because you're hot and you're sweaty and you want to get, cool off. But really, if you can once every month or 2 months, even just walk out to the shed, pull it out, do the stuff, right? Prime it 3 times, make sure it's turned on, put the choke on, fire it up, run it for a couple minutes, just keep it moving. That right there is honestly the best move we can make when it comes to treating a machine properly for fuel. So I know that was a big talk on fuel. I'm sorry. You could fast forward through it if you didn't like it. There we go. I think we got it. But what I'd say is if I missed anything, go ahead, make some comments down below, or reach out to your local dealer, or stop by Carl's Mower and Saw if you're in our area. And we'd love to go over a snow thrower with you, show you what you may or may not need to know to make sure that when the snow falls and it's cold outside, you know how to start it and you know how to clear your driveway and do it comfortably and safely. Okay? We look forward to helping you in the future. Thanks for stopping by, checking out Carl's Mower and Saw. For a full line of outdoor power equipment, stop by Carl's Mower and Saw. We will see you soon.